I got an email just yesterday from one of our viewers in the UK, and we are live on Sky Sports NFL on Friday mornings still. Just in case you and Peter are having a discussion about pineapples again, I would like to point out there is a pineapple on top of the Wimbledon men's tennis trophy first presented in 1877. That's because when pineapples arrived in the UK, they were classed as exotic, rare, and very, very expensive. Only royalty could afford pineapples. So there's your pineapple fact for December 16. We'll have more pineapple facts
You gotta love
coming up on
pineapple
future Fridays, as
factoids.
long
I
as we have
no
Mike
clue.
McDaniel. I have not fact-checked that pineapple fact. I do not know that there is a pineapple atop the Wimbledon men's trophy. I have a feeling we'll have confirmation or debunking of that by the end of the show. But there's your pineapple fact, true or not, for today, Peter.
Hey, look, if you talk about this game, one of the reasons, I hate sort of cliche type things that people invent about players who can't do X, Y, or Z. And it's like, what do people now say about Tua? Oh, he can't win in cold weather. I mean, that's a real overly simplistic way of looking at it. He had his nightmare game in Buffalo a couple of years ago, the 59-30 game or whatever. He's not on the field playing defense against Buffalo. And so again, he has to basically win a couple of games in December at his northernmost division foes in the next couple of years before things like that are going to go away. He just does. And honestly, Mike, I think he will. The bigger question right now is have coaches discovered some things about this offense that are going to be exploited down the stretch and could even knock Miami out of the playoffs. And I thought what Brandon Staley did and the Chargers did when they had a bunch of guys who were down, Derwin James, a lot of guys on their defensive front down. I thought one of the things they did is they sort of crammed the middle of the field. Tua Tagovailoa has done a great job this year exploiting the middle of the field, particularly deep. And now they sort of clogged up the middle of the field and said, okay, Tua, got to run some deep outs. You got to run outs now because we're not letting you use the middle of the field the way you have. And look, we'll see if that continues, but that's kind of what I noticed watching that game the other night.
And I think you're right. I mean, that's why that 49ers game and the Chargers combined, it creates the so-called blueprint that other teams will use.
Yeah.
And Peter, I think it's interesting that what happened was the question of can that offense function in the elements in December and January morphed into Tua can't play in the cold weather. That's never been the question. The question is, can that offense operate in the cold? But it became Tua can't play in the cold, and no one has said that I know of. Maybe people are saying it now, but it's wrong. It's just a question. Just a question. Coach Dungy raised that earlier this year when they were firing on all cylinders. We'll see how they do in Buffalo and in New England because they got both of those teams in Miami in September. Now they have to go back in December and January to play in those places. And, hey, you hit the nail on the head. They may not make the playoffs. It's going to be up to them, obviously, at this point. Bills, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on Christmas Day, at the Patriots, and then they finish the year with the Jets. That is not an easy run for a team that's lost 2 in a row, Peter. They could slip out of it altogether. It's up to them to turn it around, and their opportunity comes tomorrow night. So we'll see.
I love the game. And also, hey, Mike, you know what I said watching the Bills last week and really the last couple of weeks? I mean, and I looked it up. I think he's only got 5 drops, but Isaiah McKenzie, watching him not catch balls that he should be catching. And I wrote this in my column on Monday. I didn't know anything, but I basically wrote, Isaiah McKenzie's better be careful because if I'm Brandon Beane, I'm starting to look for, a guy who might give him some competition at slot receiver. He has not grabbed the ring the way, I don't think anyway, the way the Bills had hoped he would. And sure enough, on Monday afternoon, I forget who tweeted it. Somebody tweeted, "Hey, just flew in on a plane to Buffalo with Cole Beasley. Wonder what he's doing in town." And sure enough, Tuesday morning, Cole Beasley is signing with the Bills. And look, Cole Beasley had a weird end to his Bills career, no question about it. But the one thing you say, I'll say two things about Cole Beasley. He had fantastic chemistry with Josh Allen. Fantastic. And the other thing is with him, he is a fearless slot receiver. He got banged around so much. By the end of like 2 years ago, he was my all-pro slot receiver on my all-pro team, or the third receiver on my all-pro team. But the point is, he now provides a little bit of help for an offense that hasn't been quite as intergalactic as we thought Buffalo's would.
Some fences had to be mended in that relationship, and the Bills had to do some work and eat some crow and kiss some butt to get him back in the fold. It just shows you that they perceive a real need there, or they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have eaten some humble pie to work things out with Cole Beasley. Titans-Chargers. The Titans have had 3 straight helpings of humble pie lately. They haven't been the same since they beat the Packers on a Thursday night a month ago. The Chargers winning after losing and winning and losing a couple, and they're on the right side of 500 for a change. Do you feel like they're starting to put it all together? And this is just one of those where, hey, the planets line up, the guys get healthy, you get the best players on the field, and all of a sudden we see what the Chargers can be.
Hey, look, Chris Collinsworth said it on the game the other night, Mike, that this is one of the best performances we've seen this year, meaning best performances by a quarterback. Justin Herbert winning that game on Sunday night. I thought he was absolutely tremendous. Some of the throws that Justin Herbert makes, you say, how does he fit a ball into a tiny little window like that? But he does it really, really well. He does it almost as well as anybody who's played. But I look at Justin Herbert now, Mike, and you're right. If you can have both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams playing for you, that is a recipe to score 28, 31, 34 points every week. And they're going to have to do that, quite honestly, because, look, if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm going to Todd Downing, my offensive coordinator, and I'm doing exactly what Bill Parcells said to Ron Earhart, his offensive coordinator, when they went in to play the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl in January of 1991. Parcells walked up to Earhart after they beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship, and he said, "Hey, Ron, next week, play clock ball." And what he means clearly is keep the ball out of Jim Kelly's hands. And if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm telling Todd Downing, hey, listen, you got to run Derrick Henry 36 times this week, period. I mean, we have to hold the ball and keep the ball away from the Chargers to have a good chance to win this game. So I would expect this is going to be a game that could be played in 2 hours and 47 minutes in LA on Sunday.
And you mentioned Todd Downing. The Titans haven't been the same and haven't won a game since that DUI arrest of Downing after the flight from Green Bay back to Nashville, bus back to the facility. The timeline made it clear that there was some consumption going on team transportation, which is a clear violation of the rules, and they've been rattled ever since then. You throw in the John Robinson firing, and the Titans desperate to turn it around and running out of chances because the Jaguars, as we've already discussed, could catch them. How about this? Patriots 7-6, staying out in Arizona this week after beating the Cardinals on Monday night, facing the Raiders, who had that mini bye after that game they blew to Baker Mayfield and company. Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick. McDaniels is 1-0 against Bill, dating back to the 2010 season when McDaniels was in the first year with the Broncos and beat the Patriots. Can McDaniels make it 2-0 against his longtime boss, Peter?
I mean, he certainly can. This is, to me, it's a coin flip game. And again, I think what this game comes down to is, can Mac Jones make enough plays to go head to head with an offense that is significantly better throwing the ball downfield? And look, Josh Jacobs, I think, barring an injury, is going to win the rushing title. So they're facing a team, and we all laugh at Vegas. And we say, man, they got too much talent to be 5-8. And you know what, Mike? They got too much talent to be 5-8. But the point that I would make about this team is, and the reason why I would slightly favor Vegas in this game is because, look, they, except for a really weird way to lose that game to Baker Mayfield, except for that, this is a team that would be on a 4-game winning streak. And I think we'd all be thinking, Vegas has got this game. So again, ifs and buts don't mean anything. I get it. But I think the Raiders are playing pretty well. And, to me, I think New England is really going to have to rattle. New England's really going to have to rattle Derek Carr if they're going to have a good chance to win this game.
The one play that stands out for me above all others from that Thursday night game, that interception that Derek Carr threw, and how does he process that? How does he get past that? How does he learn from that? How does he put it behind him? And how does he not let his own doubts start to creep in as he gets closer and closer to the end of this season and wonder whether or not the Raiders will indeed keep him around for next year? They can say to him whatever they want to say. Does he really believe it at this point? I don't know. And maybe it'll show up in his play. Does he go out and cut it loose, or does he play a little bit hesitant and tentative after what happened with that ugly interception that we broke down extensively last week?
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.